Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. And of course, this is going to be a very important update, especially in regards to this YouTube channel. And of course, we're going to get into very important news with Trump facing off with Vladimir Putin, the latest with Michael Cohan, Sean Hannity, and the FBI investigation, plus a lot more. But to preface everything in regards to our YouTube channel, Phillip Defranco, one of the most popular news personalities on YouTube, has just come out with a video saying that he is taking a break for 7 days, that his media operation won't be able to sustain itself because of a new YouTube policy that not only demonetizes his videos, but at the same time, when that happens, it specifically hurts your reach and the viewership of your videos. He talks about a new YouTube algorithm, which he says seems like it's been learning to specifically target him and others in his demographic. And then, of course, he announced that a lot of his content won't be for YouTube first in the future. And I have to say, welcome to the club. We've been dealing with political severe issues with YouTube all the way since 2008. Here's just some of the videos that have been demonetized on our YouTube channel. Too many to actually count. And yeah, our viewership has gone down dramatically within the last few months, even though our organic reach is higher than ever. Even recently, YouTube decided that they decide which subscribers get to see your videos or not. And YouTube even officially announced that people not only have to subscribe to your channel, but also have to click the bell button in order to get notifications so people actually see your video. But I'm even receiving a number of comments from people who said they did that, who are not even getting our videos. And I think you could pretty much clearly see the bias that's happening here against independent media, some of which actually go on the ground, risk their life with very little to no money or funding, but now not only have to face demonetization, but lower viewerships because of that demonetization, while at the same time, mainstream media companies like CNN openly have videos of their anchors eating human brains on their YouTube channel, showing horrific footage of atrocities happening all over the world. And of course, those channels like CNN are openly promoted and of course monetized. And in the making of this video, I actually received a notice from my YouTube partner that just notified me that they can no longer represent me because of these new YouTube policies, which YouTube is not even officially explaining. The network hasn't even explained it to me, and I signed up with the biggest network out there. Literally, the network that represents the most amount of channels, which I thought if I went with the biggest network company, I would be able to get some representation from them with YouTube. But no, they just officially said officially that they could no longer work with me, represent me, and have to break our contract together. So yeah, that's the official announcement I wanted to make about this YouTube channel. Now, of course, I'm not a person that just moans and complains all day playing the victim card here. We saw this coming. It's been happening to us for years now, and that's why you probably see a Dash logo in the corner of this video. And the cryptocurrency community, especially the Dash community, has been very important to us as an independent news organization. Recently, they endowed us with 50 Dash coins, which we've been actually giving out on our live shows every single Sunday. We already gave out about $1,000 in Dash cryptocurrencies to our audience. We're going to do another one this Sunday. We just wrapped one up a couple hours ago, and we'll be doing more on other social media platforms, as well as contests that of course will include you and us sharing some of the Dash that was given to us to empower real independent media. So definitely stay tuned to our channel any way you can. I guess you just manually have to come back every time, since most of our videos won't be recommended or shown to you or soft censored. So of course, a huge thank you to the Dash community, and of course all you amazing human beings who keep following us and keep finding us, even though it's becoming harder and harder for you to do so. But the news never stops, and we won't either. So continuing on with the show, we are getting new information right now as we're speaking that Syrian air defenses have been activated in response to missiles that have been shot over the Homs province inside of Syria, and most likely is being committed by Israel right now as we're speaking. Now, of course, more developments on that story will be covered very closely by me, because this is a very tense, dangerous situation. And even though many people concentrate on the United States and Russia, people have to understand that other countries are also involved in this conflict that could also escalate it to very dangerous proportions. Israel, of course, has been very aggressive against the Iranian influence inside of Syria. Iran has even issued a statement hours ago saying that Israel will pay for their strikes on their drone base inside of Syria that happened a few days ago. As already reported, another one is happening right now. Now, of course, last week's attack by Israel on Syrian Iranian military bases has killed 7 Iranian Revolutionary Guard members, which of course could linchpin their alliances with the United States and Russia to engage in yet another conflict. We are also learning today that US President Donald Trump was actually presented with 3 options for his strike on Syria, and he actually picked the least expensive one, which still cost the taxpayers around $200 million just for the missiles themselves. Now, of course, all of the strategies are very hawkish and lack diplomacy, but the other 2 that allegedly Donald Trump didn't pick are absolutely terrifying, since they included a broader strike on Syrian regime targets with military command centers, with the 3rd option being an expansive proposal which would have launched strikes on Russian air defense systems in Syria, attack Russian forces, and was designed to cripple Bashar al-Assad's military capabilities without even going after his political machinery. Now, of course, just hours ago, Russian President Vladimir Putin issued a statement saying that there would be chaos in the world if the West decides to strike Syria again. Global chaos, to be specific. And he's correct, since this conflict not only engages the United States and Russia, but a lot of other countries, especially on the heels of these new reports we're getting of another bombardment of Syria by a major US ally. The United States, of course, is not backing down from this proxy war, Cold War that they have going on with Russia, with the United States planning to impose more economic sanctions on Russia, this time specifically over Syria, even though Russia's response was mostly mute to US attacks on their ally, and luckily has mainly been only fought diplomatically and also economically, as well as cyber warfare, which of course the US and UK are accusing Vladimir Putin of actually launching a global hacking campaign right now, saying that Kremlin-backed hackers have infected computer systems all around the world. And to give you some context here, cyber warfare happens all the time. The Russians hack the US hacks the Russian, the Chinese hack all of them, Israel hacks all of them too, and they hack each other back and forth. This is nothing new. Cyber warfare, as well as the ongoing economic warfare between all of these world powers, is a real thing and is happening. And it's important for everyone to understand that this is not just a rogue act by one country, but happens more often than you think. Now, moving forward with this story, China also released an official statement today saying that the arrogance of the United States has a record of launching wars on deceptive grounds. There has been ongoing warfare economically, especially against the petrodollar between China and the United States for many years now, to the point where even the US Pentagon said that China is one of the central challenges to their national security, and as we're finding out today, has actually started a global campaign for China's unprecedented military buildup that has been happening within the last few years. Of course, Donald Trump even today tweeted that Russia and China are playing the currency devaluation game as the United States keeps raising interest rates, which he said is, quote, not acceptable. And of course, people need to understand here, even though Russia and China are not firing a shot, this Cold War, this proxy war, is extremely heated and has already been going on for a number of years, especially economically. And with the United States' latest hawkish actions, you could only expect that rivalry to get stronger and bigger. And of course, is only going to expand with more military action from the United States, which it looks like the United States will be taking more of, especially recently announcing that they will be keeping US troops inside of Syria indefinitely until their mission is done, which, by the way, the French are taking credit for, even though the White House is denying now. And seemingly, according to many people's analysis, the United States will be inside of Syria as long as Iran even exists. This, of course, is mainly done in coordination with Israel, which, of course, the two nations collaborate on strikes on the Syrian government with together. And sadly, we can only expect more tensions to rise in that specific region, especially with the way that things are going. Of course, the Russians are not backing down, and they have even issued a statement today saying that they are ready for their peace role inside of Yemen, which of course is a bloody conflict that the United States, United Kingdom, with Saudi Arabia have been involved in, that has ultimately created the worst humanitarian crisis in the world right now. This of course is a way that Russia could counter the United States and Saudi Arabia, and is yet another geopolitical strategic move against all the alliances that have been built here. Also today, we are finding out that inspectors who are supposed to look at the chemical weapons attack inside of Douma, Syria, have just arrived on their fact-finding mission inside of Damascus, which the Syrian government is allowing in to conduct an official investigation into the chemical weapons attack, which of course was the pretext for Donald Trump's latest military actions against Syria. A very contentious Syrian weapons chemical attack that of course the Russians are saying was staged by the United Kingdom, with them having evidence of them doing so. And of course, the United States made a similar statement saying that they have evidence showing that Bashar al-Assad committed this chemical weapons attack, but both countries have not yet provided any irrefutable proof or evidence to back their claims. Now, we are getting information from people like UK journalist Robert Fisk, who is actually saying that there was no chemical weapons attack. We had other journalists like this one from the BBC who admitted that Syrian rebels and activists do manipulate photos of dead people in order to push it as more effective propaganda. And it has been documented many times before that ISIS does use chemical weapons and has used them before inside of Syria. And as we're finding out today, these Syrian rebels are very well equipped, as we're getting the first footage of their underground fortress, which was located underneath the hospital of Douma, which of course stored huge weapons caches, artillery, and even allowed massive multi-ton trucks to drive through. And with a very dubious previous foreign policy record when it comes to the war of propaganda and information, it definitely does not seem like the United States is winning in that realm. But obviously there is a lot of financial incentive, and war is good for the stock market. But sadly, the consequences are usually not heard and go on the deaf ears of many of these politicians, with ramifications on more people in very adverse ways. But that is just my take on it. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section below. Now, in a totally unrelated story, we're getting more details about Trump's personal lawyer, Michael Cohan, who previously was refusing to release the names of his clients, which of course he was ordered to do by a federal judge, preceding of course the raid that happened by the FBI on his personal office, where the FBI seized a number of documents and other pieces of evidence, which of course the courts are arguing over. And today, as of just moments ago, Michael Cohan disclosed in court that it was Sean Hannity that was his third unnamed client, and according to the AP, has performed secret legal work for the Fox News commentator. Now, the alleged files are supposed to include information about Stormy Daniels, the ex-porn star that Donald Trump is accused of sleeping with a few years ago. And Stormy Daniels' lawyer came out today and then publicly said anyone associated with Michael Cohan within the last 20 to 30 years should be very, very concerned. Now, as of moments ago, Sean Hannity took to Twitter and he denied these allegations against him, saying that Michael Cohan has never represented him in any manner, that he never retained him, received an invoice, or paid any legal fees to him, but that he only had brief conversations and discussions with him about legal questions that he had. Conversations, of course, that he assumed were confidential, and of course allowed attorney-client privilege, and Hannity flat out denies these allegations. Other people are saying that if these allegations are true, that it is, quote, wildly unethical for the Fox News host to also publicly criticize the FBI investigation that has led to this. And honestly, it's still a story that is still developing, and we are still unaware of the facts in this case. But there is one thing that is very clear to me, is that yes, Michael Cohan looks like a lawyer that was helping to deal with very powerful people's affairs. What freaking relevance is that to the American people and to the political system for right now the FBI to raid his office, especially regarding to Stormy Daniels of all people. Trust me, we've been extremely critical of Donald Trump when he deserves criticism. But this latest story is just a gross misconduct of government that is more interested in tabloid bullcrap that has no relevancy in your existence rather than actual corruption, actual racketeering. Goldman Sachs, corporate warfare, lies, manipulation, collusion, all those things happen on very sinister levels within the government. And for me, the FBI is just proving themselves to be more of just an entire joke in this situation. And it proves something that we've been saying for months now, that this entire Russian probe investigation is really just a distraction and a bigger political move, jousting for more political power. And utterly is fake news. I don't know about you, but I personally do not give a damn or even want to think about the people that Donald Trump had sex with, because it doesn't change a damn thing. So yeah, that is the news for today, April 16th, 2018. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, share it with your friends and family members before the social media technocrats wipe us out of existence. And of course, humbly, thank you for all your donations and support and being here with me through these turbulent times that, of course, make it more and more difficult for our voices to be heard. And the only reason I'm being heard right now is because of you, and that's why I love you guys. Thank you again so much for watching. Stay tuned for more.